To many people, a mountain symbolizes a challenge, something to be climbed and overcome. Penny McCoy certainly has had good reason to look at mountains this way. But one mountain in particular symbolizes much more to Penny McCoy. Mammoth Mountain, part of California's High Sierra Range and a legendary ski resort.
No, I was born here, born and raised in this area, and my father and mother started a ski area.
Mammoth represents not only a challenge to Penny, but bigger-than-life dreams and opportunities, a family legacy, friends, faith, and success.
I have always been proud of Penny. She was good enough to compete with the best.
You really didn't have to drive Penny harder. That was a natural thing for her.
Penny's story is deeply rooted in the life and business built by her parents. Dave McCoy first arrived in the Mammoth area in 1934, and taking advantage of the local mountains, quickly developed into an Olympic-level skier. He also met the love of his life there, Roma Carriere. They married and raised their family in Bishop, a small town at the foot of Mammoth.
There was an unbelievable attraction to the mountain.
Through his work as a hydrographer, Dave realized that Mammoth had more winter snow than any other mountain in the area and saw the potential for a permanent ski facility. He eventually applied to the Forest Service for a lease.
And they said, well, we're not going to give you the lease because nobody's going to come. It's too far away from anybody. It's too high, and you can't get there.
The number of people living in Mammoth when we started was 6. There was a old mining town, no real accommodation to speak of, only people building little cabins. And
the Forest Service eventually made the lease available to the public. With no one else showing any interest, it went to Dave.
They ended up giving it to him for 99 years for $1 a year.
In 1953, Dave McCoy officially got started with 2 employees and several enthusiastic volunteers.
We put a cigar box out and took donations, and I think 50 cents was probably the biggest contribution that was made, but we made $18 or $20 the first day.
From this humble beginning, Dave McCoy began working hard to build a ski resort that would soon become known worldwide and employ over 2,500 people. This was the world Penny grew up in, and she just naturally took to the slopes. Her competitive skiing career began when she entered her first race at age 6.
The race was held at Mammoth, and my mom was there, and I wanted my mom to watch. And I just wanted her to see me, so I thought that was cool, and I wanted to enter the race.
Penny was always enthusiastic about skiing on her family's mountain, and she was just as enthusiastic about working in the family business.
When I was a young girl, probably 6 years old, I remember pouring lemonade, putting on ski lift tickets. As I grew older, I painted chairlifts, I picked up trash on the mountain.
Initially, skiing was not Penny's favorite sport.
I had a greater love of ice skating. And the summer I really started ski racing, really training seriously, was the summer I was supposed to go down to LA and train with a coach that had coached Peggy Fleming. And so I was so excited about that. I had a couple weeks from the time school got out to the time I was supposed to go down there. So I went, oh, well, I'll just go out with Dad every morning in the ski team and train.
Coached by her father, Penny trained hard and began to develop into a world-class skier.
She was determined that anything she tackled, she was going to learn how to do.
I love running uphill. I love biking uphill. I love uphill challenges. I just get excited about it when I see them ahead.
Her whole heart and whole thought was, how good can I really get?
Then I started entering races that winter and started winning them all.
She was really, really good by the time she was 12.
My first significant ski race that did thrust me into the public eye, the skiing public eye, was Jackson Hole, the Junior Nationals, and I was 12 years old.
Penny did exceptionally well in the junior national races, placing 5th in the slalom.
The special thing about that was it did make me the 5th best junior in the nation. It gave me more confidence, and it gave me the ability to envision the possibility of actually maybe reaching the Olympic team someday.
It was not an unrealistic goal. Dave McCoy had already coached several skiers to the Olympics. Before he stopped coaching, he would coach over 18 Olympic medalists.
Loved being coached by my dad. I wanted to make him proud.
Penny was an extremely good athlete.
She was fabulous as far as skiing was concerned.
And I was beating the best girl in the whole region. Her name was Vicki Jones, and I'm going, wow, this is pretty cool.
She always wanted to be the best.
When we go out on the mountain and go skiing, she didn't want to quit when the lifts shut off. We wait till people went on home, and we'd start the lifts up, and we go skiing some more. That's the kind of a gal she is.
Slalom was my very best, and I liked it the best. I just loved turning.
You earn points, and she rapidly went up the ladder to the point where she was beating world-class skiers.
Just 16 years old, Penny was invited to a training camp in Vail, Colorado to train for the World Cup season with men and women in the senior category.
I trained with the National A team, and little did I know, but the coach went to Dad and named me to the A team. I was the youngest to ever be named to the A national team, and wanted me to go to Europe to the World Cup races, but my dad told him no, I wasn't ready. And I didn't even know he had asked.
The coach and Dave McCoy eventually found a compromise. Penny would indeed join the National A team, but would not accompany her teammates to the World Cup races in Europe. When the National A team returned from Europe, Penny joined them to compete in several of the World Cup events in the United States, including the last meet of the season held in Heavenly Valley, California.
For some reason, inside my heart, I knew that I was going to win that race. But not only that, I knew I had to win the race. And if I won the race, I'd be on the World Championship team. I knew it. It was like an ice skating rink, and it was really steep. It was a very difficult hill. My dad was there right before I got in the gate, and he said, take off your skis. And I went, I can't take off my skis. I'm about ready to start this run. And I took off my skis. He took a file, and he put burrs in it. And the advantage of Dad burring my edges was it helped me grip the ice. So I really held my turns. So in the end, it made me faster because I went a shorter distance.
In her first run, Penny finished in third place.
I went back up the second run and got in the starting gate, and I said, Dad, I'm going to win this one for you, because he'd done so much for me in life. So I got in the gate, went down, and I won that race by 0.02 of a second.
Penny's win took her to the FIS World Championships held in Portillo, Chile.
I had first seed points. I mean, I did so well in those few World Cup races that I actually was in the top 15 in the world in both giant slalom and slalom.
Penny finished third in the competition, at 16 becoming the youngest skier to ever win a World Championship bronze medal. And Penny's was the only medal captured by the United States at the competition. Although happy with her win, Penny was disappointed that she didn't finish in first place.
And as I went through life, I felt the same way. I felt, well, third, that's nothing. I should have won. And then as my children started turning 16, I'm going, I was third in the world when I was them.
In spite of her personal feelings at the time, the media loved Penny, and she continued to give them reasons to love her, racing extremely well throughout the 1967 season.
The 66-67 year was the year we competed and raced for points to be named to the Olympic team for 1968. I did very well, and at the end of 1967, I was named #1 in slalom. So now I competed a whole year, was named to the Olympic team.
Just 18 years old, Penny was on her way to the 1968 Winter Olympics in Grenoble, France.
Then we entered the fall, 67 and 68, went to the Olympic team training camp in Aspen, Colorado.
Raised on Mammoth Mountain and coached by her father, Penny McCoy had rapidly climbed through the ranks of competitive skiing. Excited to be named to the U.S. Olympic ski team, 18-year-old Penny was looking forward to skiing for her country at the 1968 Winter Olympics in Grenoble, France.
So I went over as a part of the Olympic team. Our first stop was Oberstdorf, Germany.
During training, Penny had witnessed firsthand ethical flaws in the Olympic coaching staff.
I knew the manipulations and I knew the political playing that was going on.
But she never imagined how those flaws would soon affect her life.
The night before the race, the coach flew in 3 young girls He flew them in the middle of the night.
The next morning, Penny received traumatic news.
I was replaced by one of the young girls. She was given my first seed points, and I was given her last seed points.
I think the coach at that time thought that she and a couple of the other girls were a little too old, and he had a couple of young ones, maybe 2 or 3 years younger, that he thought could bring him more fame.
I was in the last seed, and I had the top 15 points in the world. So it shook me up so much I literally couldn't compete. And my performance was so much less than the person that he replaced me with.
I also think there was a lot of jealousy in that coach, because most of the girls that were on the team had been coached by Dave.
It wasn't the abilities considered. A good coach would see the abilities and see what the recent results were, and he would keep the strongest team.
This was going to be a very public thing, so it was the beginning of humiliation, and it was the beginning of breaking my spirit.
Returning to her hotel after the last World Cup race before the Olympic competitions, Penny received the final blow.
When I got back to the hotel, I found out I was named an alternate and off the team.
Being removed from the Olympic team was the worst thing that ever happened to her in her life up to that point, because it was so political.
The Olympic Committee heard about it. They called my dad, told my dad they would reinstate me. He would just have to say the word. So my dad came to me and told me that, and I said, I can't do it because my heart has been broken and I can't do it. I can't perform with a broken heart.
She felt she let her dad down, she let Bishop down, she let her team down, and her country, and it ruined her life.
When I won the World Championship medal in Sports Illustrated, the heading was "Found a Pretty Penny." And now I'm going, wow, from a pretty penny, now I'm the ugly duckling. And that's how I operated from that time out. I operated from the ugly duckling, and I really felt I was.
She was not Penny anymore.
I felt like a total loser. And I went out of ski racing, feel like a loser, and I was third in the world.
Thought she could never do anything right, and she let everybody down, and it really was a burden on her.
That was the start of a whole line of bad choices, and the first bad choice was my marriage.
She had 3 children.
It was an abusive marriage, all in the name of religion.
Penny coped with her marriage, keeping her time and mind occupied with exercise and sports. Penny's faith also gave her the strength to keep going.
I did have a love for God all my life, as long as I can remember. But I did not have a personal relationship to Him.
Working as hard at her faith as she did at everything else in her life, Penny eventually found the answer.
I heard a tape by Hal Lindsey that for some reason explained my last question that was holding me from being free to enter that personal relationship with God.
And that personal relationship would play a major role in Penny's need to compete when she decided to enter the Ironman triathlon.
My first husband was the one who suggested for me to do the Ironman.
The Ironman triathlon is one of the most grueling endurance events in the world. Participants compete in 3 events in a single day: swimming 2.4 miles, bicycling 112 miles, and then ending by running a 26.2-mile marathon.
I started training in my mom and dad's pool, running in the deep end of the pool, simulating running, and for hours on end.
Neither Penny nor her husband realized it at the time, but her first Ironman, held in Hawaii, would mark the beginning of Penny's freedom from abuse.
Never swam in the ocean before, got in the ocean, and just went, wow, how am I going to do this? And it was just like, in my heart came, you got to do 1 stroke at a time in the swim, 1 pedal at a time in the bike ride, and 1 step at a time in the run. And that's how you're going to get through it. I was 5th in my age group, and I was like 33rd woman overall. There was like 1,000 of us. Most of them were men. So I did good.
Completing the first Ironman competition would lead Penny to enter 3 others, and with each Ironman she grew stronger and more sure of who she was.
There was a specific thing that was accomplished in each one before myself and God. God freed me to become the person He created me to be, and not the person everybody else was creating me to be, nor my own image of myself was creating me to be.
After 19 years of marriage, Penny divorced her husband. Her faith and her family were there for her, and Penny just naturally turned to athletic challenges to help her with her healing as well.
Mountain bike, she was a world champion on that. She did triathlons, she did everything and was way high up there. And then when she got back into senior skiing, they saw what they'd missed, because she won everything.
And, of course, Mammoth was there to help Penny in her new life.
I worked on the mountain. I started in marketing. I was making $6 and something an hour. My first paycheck was $86, and I thought that was the coolest thing on earth.
After Mammoth was well established, Dave McCoy gifted each of his children with 10% ownership in the company. From the beginning, Penny took her ownership seriously.
Well, she always honored the fact that she had 10% of the company, and that whatever role that was needed to be played by her, she did.
Penny has worked almost every job there is to do on Mammoth Mountain, but she made the biggest impact while working in human resources.
Because I found myself helping everybody. They would come to me and I was their ears to listen, their eyes to see what was going on, and I was their mouthpiece to try to help them out.
She never used the fact that she was Penny McCoy to elevate herself. She used it to help others on the mountain.
Stand Up made a big contribution for the people, for the employees, for all the skiers.
Ended up in administration from there, on the board of directors, and as a part owner in the company.
Her love for the business said it all. I want to do the best I can for the mountain, whatever it is.
But even the most enduring of family legacies eventually must come to an end.
Recently the business was sold, so my mom and dad and myself sold our interest in the business.
Penny McCoy may enjoy challenges, but certainly not all of them were welcome in her life.
She's overcome more obstacles than most people I know of, and yet still kept joy in her heart and still kept love and that peace.
In the long term, I think Penny's become a stronger individual.
In spite of everything that happened to me in the Olympics and the sport of skiing, my athletics has still gone on. It's gone on to World Championship Ironman triathlons. It's gone on to endurance running and World Championship mountain biking.
Sports Illustrated proved that the press still holds a fondness for Penny when they ran an article featuring the best women in sports through the decades.
And they chose me to be in the 50-year-old decade. Man, I'm over 50. Anyway, they chose me because of the mountain bike race. I was in the World Championship mountain bike race and was second.
Of course, there's more than just athletics in Penny's life. For instance,
taking care of grandchildren, enjoying grandchildren, and writing music, and writing books, speaking, enjoying a certain amount of freedom that I've never had, and enjoying the possibilities of what lies ahead of me.
Penny is successful in her life because she believes in herself.
I believe she's been successful because she's remained true to who God created her to be. Not what circumstances say she is. Not what people have said or thought.
I have such a sense of gain of being a pure mother before my children and dealing with everything that is off course in my life so it doesn't pass down to them.
For Penny's present success, after all she's gone through, I do 100% think it's her faith.
I feel so successful because I have not let the challenges defeat me, but I've used them to make me stronger and better and more compassionate to those that are walking in my steps.
She loves people unconditionally, whether you have a dime in your pocket or if you're a billionaire. She'll love you the same way. She'll respect you the same way.
Ultimately, I'm becoming what God created me to become and do what He's created me to do. And in that itself is the ultimate success.
Thank you for watching.